Hello and welcome back. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
We're on
Ah,
review 145, sis.
yep. Okay, I can guess already without looking. My mind holds only what I think with God. What does that mean again?
Hmm. The mind that I have in truth is shared with the mind of God. We are actually the extension and reflection of the mind of God. So only the thoughts that God thinks, only those thoughts I share with God are my thoughts, are true thoughts at all. Anything else are merely suggestions from an ego thought system. They're non intelligent, they're not actual thoughts, they're just false suggestions that we can simply disidentify with. Yeah. Whoops.
It's a really powerful practice to sit quietly without any distractions
Mm.
and to ask Holy Spirit to join us, or Jesus, to join us in accepting that my mind holds only what I think with God. Really accepting it, not just intellectually,
Mhm.
in theory, but to accept it in experience. Ask for the actual experience of it, right? And it will blow your heart wide open. So beautiful. My mind holds only what I think with God. There's such deep, deep peace when we accept that. The disturbing thoughts from the ego are silenced in that. Mm,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel that.
Okay, and the next, I've got a couple little notes here so we don't veer off. I'd like to read this little quote. Oh no, before I read the quote, let's look at the first review, which is a review of lesson 129. Beyond this world, there is a world I want.
Mhm.
Okay. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. Here's the quote. Our emphasis is not on giving up the world, but on exchanging it for what is far more satisfying, filled with joy, and capable of offering you peace. Is it a loss to find a world instead where losing is impossible, where love endures forever, hate cannot exist, and vengeance has no meaning? Is it a loss to find all things you really want and know they have no ending? No ending. Wow. And they will remain exactly as you want them throughout time. Is there any loss in that? Because that's the exchange, that's the divine exchange,
Mhm.
right? Right there. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. I want that world
Yes.
because I've recognized our previous lesson that the world I see through the ego thought system holds nothing that I want any longer.
That's right.
Yep. So I think that with this lesson comes, sis, for me, in my memory, with this lesson comes quite a bit of contrast learning. And Jesus speaks somewhat about that in the Course. I don't think many people really have singled that out.
Mhm.
But what they're, in order to really get to that feeling state of um, wanting the world that is here now, the
Mhm.
reflection of heaven that is here now, we have to be able to have the felt state, the
That's right.
feeling state of not wanting the world the ego wants, right? So
Mhm.
there's a contrast.
Right. Yes. You won't
Yeah.
make a decision for anything else. We're always at choice. That's all we can do is make a choice of which teacher we're looking with, the ego or Holy Spirit. And we won't be motivated to leave the ego for the Holy Spirit until we have experienced that contrast.
Mm,
I really believe that's why all students receive, by the grace of God, these moments, random moments where the veil is just rent. It's like all of a sudden heaven's opened up, we're having a mystical experience and we don't know why. Well, I know why. It's the Holy Self that's showing, giving us a glimpse, a taste of that contrast that you're talking about, a peace that transcends the world's understanding, life abundant, answers to problems that you thought were unsolvable are all of the sudden, the way is opened. That's it. And the more we sample that, the more we become uncompromising, and we realize, wow, God really doesn't require my sacrifice. The ego's got me thinking that God's going to bop me on the head or condemn me to eternal hell, but yet God's will is for our greatest happiness. We don't trust that until we've sampled it, and then we think it's true. It's really true. We can give every compartment of our life over to Holy Spirit because he does not require our sacrifice. He wants to take what we made and bloom roses there.
Beautiful. Like my roses I have in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Better roses.
Everything Nouk touches blooms.
Oh, that was not so for 55 years or something. Yeah. But since I've come into the vertical, since my trust in only him, has advanced, then it seems that everything I grow, well, I'm not growing it. Like, look at these orchids. They're amazing.
I
can't really
love
see.
you. Yes.
There's so many. Yeah. We're getting off the topic, aren't we? No?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
It's
But
lovely.
can I add to that too, the beyond this world, there is a world I want. Yeah. Beyond this world is a world I really want. It involves, that it hinges on, and this is in my experience, it hinges on learning to be authentic. Because up until that point, we've talked about this many times, but up until we truly desire to undo our inauthentic relating, we're going to be coming from the ego, even coming from the ego with God, right? And there's a disconnect when we try to relate to Holy Spirit through the ego. We have to learn how to become authentic, which means unlearning the way we were relating before.
Yes.
I just need to say that until that point, we're not going to really want to know that there is a world that we really do want that lies beyond the ego's world. Yeah.
That's in the undoing of the unselfing of mystical.
Unselfing. Yeah.
And that seems to be a tumultuous process, but when we come back as the Holy Self, as that solidifies in our mind, and we have more faith in what we are than what we are not, our life reflects that.
Mm-hmm. As we show up, life with a capital L shows up.
Yes.
But in that process too, in all honesty, what isn't life falls away.
That's right.
What isn't true falls away. And that's what the ego is terrified of, although it has to happen.
Sure.
Yeah. And what we're left with is something far more loving, more joyful, more satisfying than we could have ever dreamt of before. Yeah.
It shows
that's work, guys.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. This ego filter starts to become permeated by the light, so that there seems to be a mixture here. And then as we allow only the truth to be true, that what's false, even here on the filter, falls away, and what's left, right? The abundance, obstacles being removed,
yes.
Relationships becoming holy, bodies becoming healthy, orchids thriving all around you, right? There's a peace in your home. Yeah, all these things are what is, he's given it to us. It's the gift, and it's all around us, and it's right here, the kingdom of heaven, and it's ours already. So we're just letting what's the mixture, the what's not, the tares and the wheat to be removed, what's not true. What a glorious inheritance we have that we're stepping into. No fear, no loss, no sacrifice. The ego shrieks to the contrary, but trust those that are a wee bit ahead of you and ask them, would you go back? I have not met one person
Oh,
that made a mistake.
well, that's you have to laugh at that question.
Yeah, you do. Oh,
Looking back at all of what I was trying to protect.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
I was trying to hold the world up. I don't know that person. Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this little bit of
you're not done.
pushing us helped. What's that?
You have another idea to cover, sis.
What?
It is impossible to see two worlds.
No. I thought we were going to avoid that one.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
We were just going to slip that one behind, see, because the ego doesn't want to do that one. It doesn't want to do that's impossible to see two worlds. Holy shit. Okay, can I launch on that one?
Do you have a note that you could read?
Well, I didn't even need notes, but yeah. This is one of my favorites. Not before, though. I hated this one. Well, I didn't. The ego hated it. So it is impossible to see two worlds. Whoa. The body and world we seem to see stems from just one emotion. Guess what emotion that is, sis?
Fear.
Starts with F. It's a four-letter word.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fear.
Oh, right. Fear.
Fear has made everything we believe we see. Okay. And because we believe we see it, that's the block. That's that shield of fear. So it just blocks us from seeing the world that we truly want from the heart, which is here now, but we're not seeing it because fear is blocking us. Yeah. And it comes in all these different disguises, which we're tearing down this filter of fear, all of us together, which is wonderful because we're quickening it, right? So let me just share a little quote here. It is impossible to see two worlds which have no overlap of any kind. There's the gap diagram, right? When we open it, we see this, we see the gap, and we think that's everything. That's the world and the body. But when we close it, what do we see?
That this was never real. There's no space-time. Yeah.
Okay. So he's saying here it's impossible to see two worlds which have no overlap of any kind. Seek for the one, and then the other one disappears, and only one remains. They are the range of choice beyond which your decision cannot go. The real and the unreal are all there are to choose between. This is what you were saying, sis, right?
One or the other. That's all we're ever doing, you guys. You never actually made anything. You're just choosing illusions, reality, fear, love.
Okay, but in the gap, when we're in the gap, let's just look at this, all right? And this has to be driven home 1,000 times, yeah? When we're in the gap, especially when we're relating with another person, you know, split mind number 1 on the left, split mind number 2 on the right. When we're relating with somebody, Did you study? How do you do that? Anyway,
And
wow. When we're relating with somebody and we feel triggered by them, what we're actually doing is we're consumed by what we falsely believed through the ego, that something is positive in the gap that we want and something negative in the gap of what we want.
right.
And therefore, when somebody triggers that,
Mm-hmm.
then then what we'll do is we will rush to its defense.
Mm-hmm.
And we will argue with that other person that we are right and they are wrong.
Yeah.
And when we're doing that, we are lost,
That's
like hopelessly lost in the gap.
That's right.
And we don't realize in that moment until later, hopefully, that, wow, wait a minute, I've just been suckered by the ego that's drawn me under.
Mm-hmm.
And I've fallen for it again, and I am defending something in the gap.
Illusion.
Therefore, right, more than I want to close the gap. If you could close the gap
Yes.
with the other person, more than I want to close the gap through forgiveness. Right? That's what's going to give me. The forgiveness is going to give me everything that we see once the gap is closed. This is the unified mind. Yeah.
So that's it. We just trigger each other and we make much ado about nothing. We fight, we go to war with each other, we kill each other, all to make this space seemingly real. And all of that is a distraction to, wait a second, none of this is going on. The healed part of my mind really wants to awaken and wants to find somebody else that also has that same goal of awakening, so that the Christ in my mind and the Christ in your mind join, and in that we remember what? Wholeness. This is our mind now, and because it's the exact same as what's outside of it, which is the mind of God, this little circle falls away. There goes all separation. So we come back into the atonement or at one-ment. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So choose wisely.
Choose wisely. Yeah, that's why we need to be very lucid and make that positive separation with Holy Spirit in our mind, you know.
Yes.
So let me just share another quote. This one's from chapter 6, section 5, B5. The way out of conflict between two opposing thought systems is clearly to choose one and relinquish the other. He's talking about the gap there, right?
Right.
If you identify with your thought system, the gap, and you cannot escape this, and if you accept two thought systems which are in complete disagreement,
chaos,
then peace of mind is impossible.
That's right.
So if you teach both the gap and the unified mind, right? If you teach both, which you will surely do as long as you accept and believe both, right? You are teaching conflict and learning it. Yet you do want peace, or you would not have called upon the voice, Holy Spirit, for peace to help you. Its lesson is not insane, the conflict is. Right? That's it.
That's right.
That's it. So we could say this at the conclusion of this lesson. To say this right now, which is, it is impossible to see two worlds. Let me accept the strength God offers me and see no value in this world, the gap, that I may find my freedom and deliverance. And if triggered, Jesus gives us this: it is impossible to see two worlds. I seek my freedom and deliverance, and this is not a part of what I want. You know, we can actually learn that. It's only 2 sentences. It is impossible to see two worlds. I seek my freedom and deliverance, and this is not part of what I want. The moment that we are triggered.
Right.
Beautiful.
Because when you recognize the purpose of every trigger is to just throw you into the gap, you don't have to investigate it even, eventually. At first, we're still giving power to the gap and mythical me. It helps to see each trigger and unwind it. But I've gotten to that place now where a trigger comes and I go, I know what you're doing. I know what this is serving for. It's trying to draw me into, the illusion land. And I have a choice. I have a choice right now. This is not God's will. I can completely forgive it in this instant and ask again, what is the truth here? That's it. It just becomes like a 2-second process, if not even that. Yeah.
And you know what, guys, too, thank you, sis, is you're not alone in this. But the ego wants to tell you you're alone. The strength of us united, meaning, is sis, Coreen, me, and all of our Course in Miracles family. The strength of us united doing this together, we can rely on that. We can really lean on that. And we can receive the gifts of that. Any moment we are willing to stop and reconnect with it, realign with that. So we're here with you.
Yes. Yes. And have you joined the Total Transformation course? This is not a sales job.
What's that, sis?
It's offered for free. It's offered for free. It's not a sales job. I'm just telling you that this is where you meet like-minded miracle companions, those to walk this transformation journey with. As you unself, Jesus says that there's a point in time in your transfer of trust where you meet those and you don't walk alone, and you can reach out anytime and trust that the whole point of that relationship is to say, hey, you're not here. I'm not bearing witness to this with you. I'm going to remind you of this. I'm willing to join you here and bring salvation and forgiveness to whatever, we're tripped up with in the moment. So nouksanchez.com, courses and offerings, Total Transformation course, 12-month course online.
Yeah.
You will not regret it.
Thank you. Yeah. That's where we will have the experience that Jesus is pointing to in the lessons and in the text. Yeah. So it's there that we learn we can drop our facades, mythical me, we can be real, we can have all kinds of stuff that's been haunting us for probably lifetimes in the illusion of the dream. And we can actually let it go because we're joining with others who are like-minded, who share a truly common purpose. And that purpose is to awaken from the false self and the false world that it's been projecting. Yeah.
It's the birthplace of it. It's the birthplace of the divine love that casts out fear. So the story can't stand in the presence of that. Yeah. All right. We're done.
And it's also in the description box, sis.
Show more.
Show more. Down there, we've got a long list of free resources.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Check it out. Check out the free resources.
Resources.
Yes. We love you. And we'll see you
next time. Bye.
Bye.